Hey, everybody. Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast. And you know the drill by now. This week, I trimmed out another chunk of conversation from Randall and I's marathon session that we had a few weeks back. I tried to find something from our most recent session with all three of us, but we all had a little bit of low energy during that one. I found a couple really small chunks where we went on a couple gaming tangents here and there, and even found a couple chunks of conversation totally non-gaming related. But I was like, we're just super low energy on this one. I couldn't really find anything worthwhile to trim out of that one. But I'm sure we'll get another Save It for the Cast with all three of us in the mix here in just a little bit. Although I will say, again, this session with Randall and I was like a 4-hour recording session. The episode itself was just a little under an hour. So we had 3 hours of obviously not just talking pure video games, some catching up and whatnot, but we really dug into a ton of stuff. And on this chunk of conversation coming up here, we talk a little kind of stemming off of after Wario World from the GameCube got added to the Switch 2 online selection of games. We start talking about some of our wish list GameCube games, and then just spin off talking some more GameCube from there. We talk a little bit of Sega. I've been on a big time Sega kick that I know I've mentioned. Not even so much playing the games, but just purchasing and building up my physical collection. So we talk a little bit of that. After Randall actually picked up a couple GameCube games. We talk a little Yakuza and a little JRPG action with Phantasy Star and Star Ocean. And with some of this stuff, obviously, we're just barely grazing on the topic, or, it comes up briefly. And then I've been on a big kick of watching these YouTube videos on this channel. I finished a video game, these long, I think I've mentioned it a couple times before already, but these long, retrospective, videos about an entire series. So spinning off of that, we talk a little Dishonored and Hitman and BioShock. So yeah, just a super fun conversation that I will likely be trimming a little bit more from in the future, because there's just a ton of stuff on the cutting room floor here. But as for the stuff that I've been playing, as always, I've been really just kind of bouncing all over the map, really not sinking my teeth into anything in particular as of late. After polishing off Super Mario 3D Land recently, I've just been really in the mood to just kind of bounce around. Other than I've been continuing to chip away at Luigi's Mansion 3 with my nephew. I'll kind of table an update on that for now, because I feel like we're a good halfway through the game, if not a little bit more. But really looking forward to playing that one some more and seeing that one all the way through to the end. But as for the other stuff that I've been playing, I've really just been bouncing all over the map between all different platforms and really not been sinking my teeth into anything in particular. One of the things that I kind of want to save to talk about with all the guys is I've been really playing a bunch of stuff on my original Wii, partially because a lot of the games that force you to play with the Wii Remote held sideways, and kind of that NES-style control scheme, that kind of cramps up my hand after a little while, and it just feels a little bit awkward. And I found some random Reddit thread that was like, hey, if you put the the Wii Remote sleeve jackets, those big rubber outer shells that they released that I don't think were there right at launch, or at least they kind of tweaked the design of them. And I was like, there's no way that that's going to make it feel a little more comfortable. I saw people talking on Reddit. I think I cut myself off there, but saying if you throw that sleeve on there, it just feels a little bit better. It's not it's night and day difference. And there's even a few different controller modified shells that you can put. How they made all those different Wii control tennis rackets and this and that. Well, this is kind of an NES-style controller that you can snap over your Wii Remote, but I couldn't seem to find any of those in stock, and it just seemed a little bit janky. It wasn't a proper controller, so I didn't really want to spend any money on that or anything. So I did throw that little rubber jacket back on my Wii Remote, and I will say, I didn't play for very long or anything, but I tried out Kirby's Epic Yarn, Metroid Other M. Some of these are where you don't play with the controller held sideways. And if it's pure motion controls, it doesn't bother me. We've been talking Excite Truck and Excite Bots on the podcast recently, and I had no problem holding the Wii Remote sideways like that. But when you really got to dig into that D-pad and play Kirby's Epic Yarn, like I was saying, or Metroid Other M, or Kirby's Return to Dreamland, there's a ton of games that utilize that control scheme. Where it really does feel a little bit better. The controller just feels a little more substantial in your hand. And the main thing that would kind of bother me is using my thumb on the D-pad, because at the top of, or the left side of the Wii Remote, when you have it turned sideways, they have that cutaway where the B button or the trigger is. and it's just kind of an awkward way to hold your hand. And with that Wii Remote rubber jacket on there, it like has like a kind of bulbous thing at the front to protect it, or at the top to protect it from bumping into anything. But because of that, it's a little bit more substantial to hold on to. So it's not a perfect solution, but it definitely made playing some of those games where you're forced to play where that's the only control method. You know, they didn't give you the option to plug in the classic controller, whether it be because there are some motion controls in the middle of the game that are utilized outside of the standard NES-style controls. But nonetheless, I was pretty happy to try that out and see that it was like at least a decent solution for playing some of those, because I've left a lot of those games unfinished. Wario, I was going to say Wario World, but Wario Land, Shake It. Like there's a ton of those games that utilize that side-scrolling or sideways orientation of the Wii Remote for side-scrolling games in a lot of cases, although Metroid Other M uses it for a full 3D game, which is kind of a little bit odd. That doesn't feel great, but there was a part of me that was kind of into that game. But like I said, I'm going to save some of the Wii stuff for when we've got the full crew in the house. And then otherwise, I've really just been playing some stuff on my DS. I've been playing one of the games I scooped up at one of the game shops recently was Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis, which totally twists up the formula from the original game in the series, which is like very much inspired by the original Donkey Kong, or even more so the Donkey Kong sequel, or Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy. Like it really feels like it's a sequel to that game almost. And then Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 feels like it is a sequel to that game, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, obviously, but it's like totally twists up the formula. It's a DS game, so obviously it's got to have touchscreen controls, and it's like purely touchscreen controls, and it's almost like a little bit Lemmings style, where you have a number of these like toy Marios on the stage, and you have to like touch them with the stylus to get them started. You can tap them or swipe them to get them to change what direction they're going in. They're almost like wind up toys, and then they'll be like they're not single screen stages, very much in the same vein of Mario versus Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong 94, and you just have to maneuver your way through the stage and try to get all the mini Mario, toy figurines to the end of the stage. And if you get them all like in quick succession, you get a combo, so you're going for, the highest score you can get, finish it in the shortest amount of time. It does get a little bit tedious. I played through the first world, and I do remember playing like a demo of this game back in the day, because I very much remember the boss battle where you're using the touchscreen and kind of like blasting Mario or these mini Marios out of these barrels into DK up at the top of the screen, or up at up on the top screen, I should say, because you're down on the bottom. Launching Mario, and the timing gets a little bit tricky on that one. So I just kind of polished off the first world on that one and left it there. And then to kind of stay in the same style of gameplay, I moved on to Kirby and the Rainbow Curse on the Wii U. And I think I might have talked about this one back when I scooped it up at the shop. I grabbed a physical copy of this one not too long ago, within the last year or so. And I hadn't even finished off the first world, so I polished off the first boss and moved on to the second stage, or the first stage in the second world on that one. And still really, I really loved Kirby and the Canvas Curse, or Kirby Canvas Curse, whatever it's called, on the DS. And Kirby and the Rainbow Curse just takes that same gameplay with the pure stylus touchscreen controls, very similar and like totally different mechanics, but to Mario versus Donkey Kong, I just kind of felt like staying in that same vein, and you're just drawing these little rainbow yarn basically lines that Kirby will just automatically kind of cling to and get propelled to, and you can draw whatever shape and loop-de-loo you want to collect the various stars on the stages, or slam into different enemies. You can tap on Kirby to do a little like dash charge attack, and it's just really interesting to play a Kirby game where there are no power-ups. I think there are a few different moments where you'll get powered up in some other way, but you're not sucking up enemies and taking the flame power or taking the cutter or anything like that. Like you're just, maneuvering through these levels, and they're very puzzle driven, and there's tons of secrets, almost too many. But I'm just forcing myself to say, okay, I don't need to get every last secret before I finish the level. I can just move on, keep playing the game, and I'll come back if I feel compelled to get all these secrets. It is a bummer that there may, for all I know, in, stuff like Yoshi's Island or whatever, there might be true levels that are not unlocked by not getting all the collectibles. But at the end of the day, I do want to just, make some more progress and see the game through and see more of just in general the games that I own and that I keep picking up and adding to my collection. I just want to, see a little more of them rather than just playing them all for 30 minutes and being like, all right, I got a little taste of that one and moving on. So, yeah, I feel like I could talk on and on here about some of the stuff that I've been playing. Like I said, though, I've just been really kind of grazing on some things. So I think I'm going to keep it kind of on the shorter and sweet side here for once, although who knows how long this actually is here. But yeah, I definitely want to table some of this Wii stuff for when all the guys are here and some of the other stuff that I've just been grazing on. I don't know if I'm going to end up sinking my teeth a little deeper into some of those, whether on the DS or the Wii or the Wii U, or I've been, dipping back into UFO 50 a little bit here and there. So yeah, there'll be plenty more video games where that came from, I guess, in the coming weeks, whether on Save It for the Cast episodes or proper episodes, numbered. But yeah, if I can get any of these sentences out here at the end, I think I can wrap this up here for the week and kick it over to Randall and I for some more video games chit chat. And yeah, until next week, we will catch you then and take care. You know, it's funny. They just added right after we talked about Wario World the other day. They just added that to the selection of games.
Yeah,
and I played it for a little bit, and I was like, "This game, well, your curiosity will be satiated quickly." I think
that's the thing. I sold it even back in, not back in the day. It was already kind of worth some money, and I did give it a shot on GameCube because I had owned it, and it's Treasure developed and whatever. And I'm like, okay, let's give it a go. And I'm like, I don't know that this game's for me. But then I'm like, why did I sell it? It was a Wario game, and now I'm around the other side. So now that it's available through this virtual console pathway, I am at least going to play it. I have the freaking Switch GameCube controller. There's no excuse.
Yeah, for that matter. I've been thinking about getting one of those too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't, if it makes you feel any better, you're not, it'd still be cool to have on your shelf, but it's not a good game. You were definitely correct in that assessment.
Good job, previous me, circa.
It's actually kind of a piece of shit. Like it's pretty bad. It's one of like the worst, like kind of like for a Nintendo game starring a main character, and it's like supposed to be an actual game. Like it's not like a spin-off, like, little mini game collection or whatever. It's like an actual game. They're trying to make something happen. Man, it's rough. It is rough.
I remember the enemies looking kind of bland too.
Yeah, just really uninspired, which is weird from a Treasure game. Like I feel like they always have like so much personality in their games, even if you don't like click with what they're doing.
I was going to say it's probably doesn't help that personality. It's 3D, but then Sin and Punishment games are both in 3D and don't have that problem. So yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's just I wonder if it was like a combo of like just having to work within like Nintendo's like, hey, this is what we want. This is what you got to do.
Nintendo were probably cheapskates about how much they gave them too, for that matter. So they're like, all right, we'll pop out this game in this time.
It just feels so janky.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
It feels just very unpolished. It feels like a shitty isometric beat 'em up or something that like just doesn't control good. It doesn't have any good ideas. Like it's just not good in any way.
Yeah, and it's from what I remember, single player only, which is typically not the best way to play a beat 'em up style game either.
Yeah, it definitely would lend. I mean, I maybe like it's not quite beat 'em up mechanics, but yeah, it's like it's basically, but it's that same kind of just you're just moving from one place to the other and hitting enemies and getting them out of your way. Doesn't have really any of that Wario Land puzzle element, or at least not that I didn't play much, obviously, but
no, it does not have Wario Land's charm from what I remember. But now I'm morbidly curious. I will turn this on at some point
I really want them to add the two games I want them to add the most, now that they have already added Strikers.
Yeah.
I really want them to add Wave Race, because I had my cube all hooked up the other day, and I was curious to just like I did play that on Cube a little bit, and I remember thinking like, yeah, Randall, because you had said to me I bought it like long after the fact, and when we talked about it way back when, in the Best Buy days, you're like, yeah, it's it's just not as good, and like I remember thinking like, yeah, it just doesn't feel it's not a bad game, and it looks good. And
yeah, it does.
It's like
look
almost
good. It's not
got
a bad
everything.
Game.
I even remember the soundtrack being good, if I recall correctly. But I was like, it's just the physics or something, or just something about the feel of it just feels too heavy, too weighty.
It's not the same.
You don't feel that like bouncing off the waves like you do on the 64 one.
Correct.
But I want them to add that, and I want them to add Toadstool Tour pretty bad.
Oh, for sure.
And actually it'd be really cool for them to put like Four Swords Adventures on there.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
Let me play that online.
Yeah, that would be a kind of a game changer if they
that
did
might
it
take
in
some
the way
extra
they should.
work to like, because they'd have to figure out like a sub screen to like pull up on your Switch or something. Maybe that wouldn't even be possible, but
good point. Or like they'd have to like do like picture in picture effect or something, right? Maybe that's how they would end up doing it.
Yeah, they'd have to go Wonderful 101 status, man.
That would be sick though. That would be exciting if they did do something. Or
even
like that.
Even like Odama or something like that. Like the stuff like just these like weirdo games.
Yeah, there's microphones
would be so cool. Yeah.
So you could
play
do that
at least in the handheld. Yeah. If they're going important shit that has mouse controls, like and adding that in, like, and with the Switch 2 controls, like they got to be able to do that.
I'm still casually collecting GameCube stuff. I did grab that like Sega Soccer Slam not all that long ago.
I just saw that at the store the other day and I almost bought it because like I said, I've been on that Sega kick. The other day I even saw Sega bass fishing on like the Wii, and I was like, maybe I'll grab this. Maybe
I would
I'll grab
be
this, and I think I'm going to
about that actually. Very curious.
It looks cool. Like I was reading the back, and like the picture on the back, it shows like this guy like standing on the edge of his boat, and it looks like, obviously it's not like in that style of the 80s arcade, but like Outrun and those Sega games that have that real like kind of blocky polygon.
And they had those Dreamcast versions, and people love those games for what those were.
And it basically just looks like a slightly better version of that graphically, or worse, depending on how you want to look at the
at least equivalent. Yeah, maybe.
But it just looked like it had and it looked like it was kind of more like leaning into the simulation side of things, like, oh, you have the right lure and scout the locations and figure out what kind of fish are here, and then and there's part of me that reads that on the back of a box or hears that about a game and goes, oh, awesome, man, I can really sink my teeth into this game. And then there's also the other part of my brain that knows, like, I'm also someone who really just likes to play like the first world of a game and like I'm done. So like, to get a little taste of what the game has on offer and I'm done. So it's like,
it can't cost much though for that, I would imagine.
No, it was 10 or less. Yeah.
And I think Soccer Slam I grabbed for like no more than 25. I want to say it was like $20 when I grabbed it. Like it was not.
Oh man, I saw it. I think I saw it for like 10 as well, but I think it might have been like the PS2 version or something, or I don't think it was GameCube.
Yeah. I think that game's fun. I think that game, like, it's not Striker's level of brilliant, but for like an arcadey soccer game with a lot of like 2000s developed by Sega, I think it's worth checking out.
Heck yeah. No, that's on my radar then to scoop up. Yeah, pretty much any Sega game that within reason, like if it's like total JRPG where it's like, okay, this isn't for me. But even the ones that are like some of those newer Yakuza games that are JRPGs, like that Like a Dragon, which I was listening to some podcast or something. Apparently, maybe you know this, or maybe you even said this when you were talking about those games, but they've always been called Like a Dragon in Japan.
Oh yeah, I think I have heard this too.
To the best of my knowledge, Yakuza is not the name of the game. It's just called Like a Dragon.
Right.
But then like the first one that here was called Yakuza and then : Like a Dragon. Apparently, like the whole. Are you familiar with this game?
No, not as much. No.
Like this game actually is a JRPG. Like it's got turn-based combat and everything.
Right, as opposed to the action-y beat-em-up style of most of the mainline Yakuza games.
But apparently the whole conceit of the game is like, I don't know if this is why it's called that, but like the character in this game that you play as in those games, it's called Like a Dragon apparently, or maybe they were just joking about this on the podcast, but like it's the character himself is a diehard Dragon Quest fan. And so everything in the game is actually happening for real, like in real life is happening like it would be in the Yakuza games. But through his eyes, he's experiencing his life and world as if it were a JRPG.
Wow.
So like all this crazy shit's happening and you're doing everything turn-based, but like to everyone else, they're not experiencing it that way. I don't know how that like comes into play gameplay wise or like story wise, but it's just like that just sounds interesting. And then I'm like, did they actually say he loves Dragon Quest, or is there like a placeholder? Because Sega doesn't like own the rights to that. Like
no, but it was such like a cultural
thing,
Japanese icon, especially, right? You know,
so I'm like, can they just like use it? Like that's crazy if they're like using that as a plot mechanic, or I don't know if they're just saying like maybe he just loves JRPGs and they're just saying Dragon Quest like as a placeholder.
Yeah, you'd think, and maybe it's also because this has not been relevant for a while, but they would, well, that's not entirely true. There's a game that's still active, but they would lean into the Phantasy Star of it all, and if they wanted to stay on brand that way. And Phantasy Star was a big deal in those days, but not like Dragon Quest, obviously.
I actually really want to get that I take that back. Star Ocean is the game.
Star Ocean looks really cool too. I've always had a side eye for that too.
There's two of the. There's the first one that's I don't know. It's Star Ocean something, and then there's one
PS2,
called like,
right? Yeah.
Well, there's one called like Second Story R or something like that, and it's one of those like HD remake games where it's like pixel. Like, you know, those like Dragon Quest games, how they've done those?
Yeah, like the HD 2D or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a demo for that Star Ocean Second Story R or whatever it's called on the Switch. And I just played it for like 2 seconds and was like, this looks so fucking cool that because it looks even more alive than like Octopath. Like things are like swaying in the breeze and like, I don't know, that I was like blown away with that game. Booting it up for a second on Switch, but then I was like, it probably would run better on PS5 or something.
It probably would. Plus, in that case, it's kind of like in the lineage of the native platform.
Exactly. That's exactly where my brain goes. Like if I'm like, but this feels like it belongs on Xbox. Like, or even sometimes it's just totally arbitrary. Like for example, I just happened to buy Prince of Persia: Sands of Time on Xbox.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, well, if I'm going to get that trilogy of those games, I got to have them all on Xbox. Like I can't have one of them on PS2 and one of them on GameCube.
Yep.
Like I want that full slate of them or whatever. Even though I know the other two aren't supposed to be that good.
By the way, this Star Ocean Second Story R, I'm looking at.
Oh, I know. The demo on Switch was awesome, man. I was like, holy shit, this is sweet.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The first one is I don't think it has as slick of a level of remake. Like they up-resed it, but it looks more akin to Octopath Traveler. Not that those don't look amazing.
Yeah.
But the Second Story R or whatever just looks a little more alive. I don't know what other word to use other than that, but it just looks like the pixels look more lively than they do in the remake of the first one. But the first one's always on sale for like $6 or $7, where the second one's like 25 or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, because that just came out a couple years ago, basically.
I've got a physical PS5 copy sitting in my Amazon cart and just waiting for a markdown, along with a few. I'm probably going to get that like Hitman World of Assassination.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
On there.
Oh, yeah.
So
physical too at that point, huh? Like the whole thing's on the disc?
The whole, from what I understand, it said like on the front of the box, it says internet access required, but I did a little research and that's talking about, cause like a lot of the game is like, you got to be like logged in and it's like one of those like live games, but like apparently you can like do all the main missions and everything on the game is like in there. A lot of like the secondary missions and like extra challenges, I guess, are like locked away or like, you have to be signed in to access or something, but
like the core game of that is
you can access ridiculous. The levels. And,
like,
all I want to do is just run around and just do shit. I'm not really trying to like get all the achievements or anything. So I definitely want to get that.
Oh yeah, that's a library one for sure. I've got it digitally. Otherwise, I would totally be on board.
I want to get that, and I really want to get. I just watched on that. I finished a video. Not to keep getting sidetracked here, but on that, I finished a video game channel. I watched the 2 videos. He has one each for Dishonored and Dishonored 2.
Oh yeah,
those games look amazing. Like they basically look like Hitman, but in like more streamlined like level design form. And
always
they
had
look
interest
so
in those.
Cool.
Yeah. I feel like they never got their due the same way. It must have been when they came out, or I don't know, but like
they got their due like critically, but like never like got their due as like it's not a series that exists anymore. You know, it could easily
did not sell like it should have.
Yeah. That and I watched the one on BioShock. It even got me kind of juiced to play like BioShock Infinite again. I liked that game. I know a lot of people kind of got down on that game.
I played a little bit of like the first one. It's all I played of any of that series. I'm pretty positive I bought like the set of those games for like no money a handful of years ago digitally.
I'm on the market for those. I'm looking for that collection. Yeah. But I did the opposite. I played only Infinite. And on PS3, when I bought it, it came with BioShock 1, like all on the same disc, or maybe it was a download code or whatever. But then I tried to go I liked Infinite enough where I was like, oh man, I'm curious. I'm going to go play BioShock 1. And it kind of had the same reaction of when I tried to go back to Uncharted after having played the other two. It was like, this is like kind of too primitive. Like, I think if I would have given it more of a break and then went to BioShock 1, I wouldn't have had the same reaction. But it was like, this isn't the grenade button, or this isn't the... Like, it just felt too different while being very similar. Fair. That it just like didn't work in my brain at the time. But I think BioShock and even BioShock 2 looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because that was made by a totally different team, apparently.
Oh, geez. That's kind of weird, too, considering BioShock was a pretty big deal at the time.
Yeah, like that Ken Levine or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
He was not involved in BioShock 2 at all.
Weird.
But is in 1 and Infinite.
Weird.
So very bizarre.
Yeah, he must have been working on something else in that time and just had the conflict. But they're like, hey, the first one did so well. We got to get another one out like ASAP.
Yeah, and a lot of like big time stuff like kind of spawned out of that or I shouldn't say a lot, but at least one of the main guys who worked on the DLC called Minerva's Den on BioShock 2, like which apparently if you play that DLC, you can like clearly see that those are the people that went on to make Gone Home.
Oh.
And like apparently that DLC is like very like, you're just picking up a bunch of objects and reading story and like, so it's like, you can see where they got, their start from.
Oh, that's very cool. I'm totally unaware of that.
Yeah. I only knew that because like that guy he used to be on the Idle Thumbs podcast, and I just happened to know that because he would talk about it.
Huh. Keep wanting to say cup holders, the goddamn things you set your cups on a surface. My brain is starting to melt. Yeah, coasters. Like they had Pikmin coasters. I'm like, yep. Give me some of those Pikmin coasters and this shirt and whatever, so I can get to the free shipping with my Club Nintendo reward thing or whatever.
I was at this store the other day, and they had that Club Nintendo thing that you have, that diorama that's got like all the characters on it.
Yeah.
They had that there for sale, like, in like a showcase thing. I think it was like $100, which wasn't terrible, but I was like, it was a little beat up and like looked a little janky. So I was like, I'm not going to buy this, but
that's gotta be
I was always
rare.
mad that I never got that one.